Why is it that DJs, plumbers, and even balloon artists can name their price, but musicians are out here still getting paid like it's 1975? You spend thousands of dollars on gear and invest years in your craft, and you walk away from a gig with $100, if that. Well, in this video, I'm gonna show you why this keeps happening and exactly what you can do to break out of it. So I'm Terrence, and I've been a full-time musician for over 30 years. And from doing corporate gigs to being a church music director, I've seen it all. The lowball offers, the broken promises, and the so-called honorariums that seem more like insults. So if you're tired of being broke, overworked, and undervalued, this video is for you. I'm breaking this video down into 3 parts: why musicians are still trapped in outdated pay scales, the truth about the church and the gig culture that keeps musicians broke, and 3 ways to fight back and finally start getting paid what you're worth. Let me hit you with a reality check. $100 in 1975 is worth over $600 today with inflation. Yet most of y'all musicians are still out here getting paid that same $100 for a 4-hour set. I remember back in 2019, this band was trying to hire me to do a gig with them, and the band leader of that band proudly proclaimed to me, "We pay all of our musicians $125. And I looked at him like, bro, your gas costs more than that now. But here's the real problem. The culture around paying musicians hasn't evolved because we haven't demanded that it evolve. Too many of us were taught that we should be thankful just to be able to play. And we took pride in the hustle, but we forgot to set the price. And let's be honest, a lot of us musicians are out here accepting gigs out of desperation just to stay visible or just to be around other musicians. But visibility doesn't pay the rent. Now, let's talk about church, because church musicians are some of the most overworked, underpaid musicians in the world. You rehearse on a Tuesday, you play on a Wednesday, and then you're back again for 2 more services on Sunday. And what do they hand you? An envelope with a few 20s in it and a handshake that says, "We appreciate your ministry." I once played for 3 services at a church, MD'd the choir and the band, ran rehearsals, and even helped them fix their soundboard. You know what they paid me? $125. But the AV guy who ran the live stream for the services with the camera on his tripod, you know what they paid him? $300. But the thing is, it's not about your ability, it's about what you demand. And some of y'all are out here giving them Grammy level performances for gas money. Here's the truth. Churches, just like any other organization, will pay you what you allow them to pay you. And if you keep saying stuff like, "It's okay, I just want to serve," then you'll keep being treated like a servant rather than a professional. Now, if you're getting value out of this video so far, do me a quick favor and hit the like button on this video. That helps with the YouTube algorithm and it helps other musicians find this video. Now, let's get to the tools that's going to help you break out of this. So the first thing that you have to do is you have to set a minimum. No less than $250 for a local gig and no less than $500 for a wedding. And I know you may not feel comfortable with setting prices like that, but this is not about trying to be comfortable anyway. This is about establishing boundaries, and it forces you to operate within those boundaries, and it forces the clients and the people who are going to hire you to respect those boundaries. Now, another thing that you absolutely need to do is start presenting yourself like a pro. So you ever notice that the musicians who seem to make the most money and get the better paying gigs and all of that aren't necessarily the best players, but they always look and sound like pros. They show up early, they send contracts, they communicate clearly, and they dress professionally. One thing that you gotta understand is that perception is value, and you can't charge premium prices when you present like a bargain. Now, here's one that's gonna be controversial and a lot of musicians are gonna have a problem with, but you gotta start using scarcity and walk-away power. This is big. Listen to me carefully. Not every gig is for you. Point blank, period. Some of y'all are out here saying yes to everything, every gig opportunity that comes your way. But that's how you end up burnt out, underpaid, and resentful. You gotta learn the art of saying, thanks for the offer, but that doesn't align with what I charge. And admittedly, it's not the most comfortable thing to say, especially when you're starting to say it for the first time. And when you say it for the first time, it's gonna feel uncomfortable. You're gonna get that tingly feeling and you're gonna be thinking, oh my God, I can't believe I'm saying this and I should have said yes to that gig. But I'm telling you, after that first time, you start to feel empowered. Look, nobody's coming to rescue us musicians from underpayment. There's no music unions showing up at your next church service or your next gig. It's on you to change the standard. When you raise your rate and when you communicate like a business and you start protecting your energy, you stop playing by those 1975 rules and you start playing by the rules of 2025. Now, you've seen why musicians are still underpaid and how to flip the script. But if you really want to change the cycle, you need to know how to price your gigs the right way. Most musicians are negotiating their prices backwards and they don't even know it. So watch this video on how to price your gigs the right way and start commanding real money for your gift. Because knowing your worth is great, but charging it is what gets you paid.